Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. These are not just words. They are a verdict, a call to arms, a piercing alarm clock ringing in the soul of every man and woman asleep at the wheel of their own potential. You see, we live in the age of information, where wisdom is not buried in books, but handed to you by the gods of search bars and swipeable screens. And yet, we are drowning in insights, starving for execution. Most people don't need another seminar. They don't need another podcast. They don't need another quote pasted on the wallpaper of their screensaver. What they need is fire. What they need is movement. What they need is decision. Learning without doing is the illusion of progress. It feels warm. It feels productive. It feels intelligent, but it's not transformation. It's procrastination, dressed up in noble robes. The greatest danger of modern learning is not ignorance. It's the illusion of growth without the fruit of change. And make no mistake, you will be measured by the fruit. No one cares how many books you've read if your life still looks like a desert. No one cares how inspired you feel if you're still stuck in the same place you were last year. You think the world's going to reward you for potential? No. The world pays dividends on performance, not theories, not dreams, not notes in your journal. Action. Learning is the spark. Action is the flame. Without flame, the spark dies in darkness. Do you know why most people don't act? It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because they're waiting. Waiting for permission. Waiting for perfect. Waiting for certainty. And in that waiting room, dreams are executed by doubt. Potential is murdered by hesitation. You must not wait. You must not ask life to grant you the conditions. You must create the conditions. You must stop saying, once I learn more, then I will, and start saying, I will learn through doing. The greatest wisdom lives on the battlefield, not in the classroom, not in the lecture, in the arena, with blood on your knuckles, with sweat in your eyes, with fear in your throat and courage in your chest. That is where the real learning begins. Because what you do teaches you more than what you hear. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. Strategy means nothing without motion. Insight means nothing without implementation. Discipline is the bridge. Hunger is the fuel. And action is the sword that cuts through excuses. Let me tell you something radical, something that will separate you from the 95% of people who live their entire lives on the sidelines. You don't need more time. You don't need more money. You don't need more credentials. You need more courage. Courage to look foolish. Courage to make mistakes. Courage to be bad before you're good, and good before you're great. You see, most people are perfectionists, not because they're excellent, but because they're afraid. Afraid to be seen starting. Afraid to be exposed. Afraid that someone might notice that they're learning on the job. But listen to me. Every master was once a disaster. Every legend began as a beginner, and every giant still bleeds. The world does not reward you for what you know. It rewards you for what you build, what you make, what you contribute, what you finish. You can spend your whole life reading about swimming and still drown when thrown in the deep. So jump. Yes, jump. That thing you've been thinking about for months, start it. That idea in your notebook, covered in dust, launch it. That goal that scares the hell out of you, pursue it. Because you will learn more in 1 hour of uncomfortable doing than in 100 hours of comfortable watching. There is a reason why the richest man is not the smartest man, why the most fulfilled woman is not the most educated woman. Because action is the great equalizer. It turns amateurs into experts. It turns talkers into builders. It turns ideas into income. But to truly act, you must break the addiction to inspiration. Inspiration is beautiful, yes, but it is fleeting. It is the spark, but it is not the firewood. If you rely on inspiration, you will wait until the mood strikes. And when the mood doesn't come, you will do nothing. Champions don't wait for the mood. They create the mood through motion. Get up, move, begin. Even if it's sloppy, even if it's messy, even if it's small. Because small acts become big momentum, and momentum is more valuable than motivation. Start where you are, with what you have, and do what you can. And that is enough. Not someday, not next month, not when you're ready, but now. Because life only honors those who move. Not those who study the map, but those who walk the road. You will not learn your way into a better life. You will move your way into one choice, one step, one push into the unknown. And here's the twist. When you begin to act, the learning explodes. Experience is the mother of mastery. Feedback is the fertilizer of growth. You'll start to notice things that books can't teach. You'll discover strengths you didn't know you had. And you'll meet a version of yourself that you've never met the version that does. That is the real education. Not consumption, but creation. There's a reason most people stay broke while knowing everything about money. There's a reason most people stay unhealthy while knowing everything about fitness. Because it's not about what they know, it's about what they do. The wealthiest people in the world are not the ones with the most knowledge. They are the ones who move first, risk boldly, and correct quickly. So trade your books for battle scars. Trade your theories for triumphs. Trade your notes for notes played. This is your life, not a lecture. The clock is ticking, and every minute you delay is a minute you'll never get back. The graveyards are full of geniuses who never acted, full of artists who never painted, full of entrepreneurs who never launched. Don't join them. Let your learning be sacred, but let your action be relentless. Don't build a library of facts. Build a life of results. Because at the end of your story, no one will ask how many things you knew. They will ask, what did you build? Who did you become? What did you do? And if the answer is bold, if the answer is full, if the answer is alive, then your learning has done its job. So when the dust settles and your hands are worn from the work of building and your voice is hoarse from shouting into the silence of resistance, you'll look back and realize it was never about how much you knew. It was always about how far you were willing to go with what little you had. Because it's not the man with the highest IQ who wins. It's the man with the strongest spine. It's not the woman with the most certifications who leads. It's the one with the most scars. Life does not bend for the well-informed, it bows for the relentless. You must stop hoarding knowledge like a collector of trophies never earned. Each insight you gather must become a command, not a comfort. Let every lesson pierce you. Let it provoke you. Let it demand something from you. Because if it doesn't move you to act, it's not wisdom. It's wallpaper. Beautiful, decorative, and utterly useless. Knowledge without execution is vanity. The world is moved by those who move it, not those who understand it. It's the writer who writes, not the one who studies literature. It's the leader who leads, not the one who reads about leadership. It's the builder who breaks ground, not the one who memorizes the blueprint. And so the question must no longer be, what do I know? But what am I doing about what I know? If you know how to sell, are you selling? If you know how to create, are you creating? If you know how to change, are you changing? If not, then knowledge has become your cage. Because once you know but don't act, you become paralyzed by your own potential. That is the quiet tragedy of our age. We are aware of everything and masters of nothing. And deep inside you feel it, that ache, that inner tug of war. One part of you is full of dreams, ideas, talents waiting to be set free. And the other part, the scared part, whispers, not yet, just a little more time, a little more learning. But that voice is lying. It is the voice of comfort, dressed up as reason. It is the seductive whisper of safety, posing as strategy. And you must silence it not gently, but ruthlessly, because your future depends on it. Action is the antidote to fear. Movement is the enemy of self-doubt. And commitment is the cure for hesitation. You don't need more preparation, you need more presence. Be present in your own life. Be the force, be the fire, be the one who says, today I will not just learn, I will do. Because while the rest of the world waits for the perfect moment, the doers create momentum. While the thinkers argue about the path, the doers blaze trails. While the watchers marvel at greatness, the doers become it. And yes, there will be failure. There will be pain. But let me tell you something sacred. Failure through action is wisdom. Failure through inaction is regret. You will never regret the step you took, only the ones you didn't. You want to feel alive? Then move. Take the step. Send the message. Make the call. Build the product. Launch the brand. Say the words. Apply the pressure. Plant the seed. Pull the trigger. Do something today that your future self will whisper, thank you for. Because one day, and that day is coming faster than you think, the time to act will be gone. The window will close. And all that will be left are two things: what you built and what you didn't. You are not a vessel to store information. You are a warrior sent here to use it. So sharpen your mind, not just to understand, but to execute, to bring ideas into form, to turn learning into life. You don't need another degree. You don't need another guru. You need a mirror. You need to look yourself dead in the eye and say, I am the one. Not someday, not eventually, now. Because once you stop waiting and start acting, the world changes. Opportunities appear. People respond. The invisible becomes visible. Life meets you at the level of your action, not your intentions. Every day you delay, you pay. You pay in self-respect. You pay in momentum. You pay in the silent heartbreak of unlived potential. And every day you act, you rise. You rise in power. You rise in clarity. You rise in your ability to shape reality through will. Learning is not meant to be a shelter. It is meant to be a weapon. You sharpen it through use. You test it in battle. And when wielded with conviction, it becomes unstoppable. So stop romanticizing theory. Stop worshiping knowledge. Worship discipline. Worship movement. Worship follow-through. Because those are the real gods of success. Not intelligence. Not pedigree, not IQ, but grit, courage, consistency. The man who keeps moving even slowly, even imperfectly, will always outpace the genius who waits for perfection, because progress is a dance with imperfection. You don't win by waiting for the perfect step. You win by stepping, adjusting, and stepping again. So if you're tired of being stuck, do not ask for more answers. Ask yourself one question. What can I do today? Because today is the only day that exists. Now is the only time that has power. And you are the only one who can move the needle of your life. So move it. Not tomorrow. Not later. Not after you feel ready. Now. Because readiness is a myth sold to dreamers. No one is ever truly ready. Not for greatness. Not for impact. Not for transformation. Readiness is not a prerequisite. It is a result. It is born through the heat of action, through the friction of failing forward, through the fire of doing what you swore you'd do long after the feeling you set it in is gone. You don't wait until the storm passes. You become the storm. You don't ask for the wind to push you. You set the sail yourself. And when you act, something ancient awakens inside of you, something that's been buried under layers of fear, doubt, comfort, overthinking, and second-guessing. You awaken the maker, the builder, the beast, the part of you that doesn't just know, but becomes. Because knowledge alone does not make you powerful. Knowledge only shows you what's possible. But action is what proves what's possible. And every time you act, the gap between who you are and who you could be closes. This is not about hustle porn. This is not about working 100 hours a week or burning out in pursuit of shallow goals. This is about honoring the knowledge you've been given. This is about not wasting the miracle of awareness. This is about proving to the universe that you are worth the gift of insight by translating it into impact. You've been taught, you've been trained, you've read, you've watched, you've written down the affirmations, you've visualized, you've studied every success story from Carnegie to Musk. And now the real question rises like thunder inside your bones. What will you do with it? Will you let your wisdom rot on the shelf of hesitation? Or will you take the hammer of action and strike while the metal of the moment is hot? Because time is not waiting for you. The clock does not care about your excuses. The calendar is not pausing to let you catch your breath. Every second you hesitate, the life you want grows more distant. Every time you flinch, the door begins to close. And one day, when the silence becomes deafening, when the dust has settled and all your chances lie behind you, you will wish you had acted. Don't let your life become a museum of missed chances. Don't let your mind become a warehouse of unshipped dreams. Don't let your learning become your leash. Unleash it. Use it. Wield it. You must turn the page into a plan. You must turn the theory into a tactic. You must turn the insight into impact. Every lesson you've ever learned has one job: to make you move. And if it's not making you move, it's not done yet. And if you are not moving, then you are not done yet. So go, not in search of more to consume, but in service of more to create. Become the one who took the wisdom and built something eternal. Become the one who acted, even when it was hard, even when it was risky, even when no one clapped. Because history is not written by the informed. It is written by the engaged. The battlefield of life is not won by those who know all the strategies, but by those who enter the fight. Sword drawn, feet planted, heart ready. So stand up today, right now. The moment you begin, the universe begins too. The moment you move, energy shifts, doors open, people appear. Opportunities flood in, not to the thinker, not to the reader, not to the planner, but to the mover. You've heard enough. You've known enough. Now it's time to live like it. Now it's time to do. And when you do, when you finally act, something irreversible happens. The internal shift becomes external reality. The invisible becomes flesh. The intangible becomes real. And the world begins to reflect the power you always had, but never used. This is the truth they won't teach you in school. The bridge between dreams and results is built plank by plank with action. Not desire, not discussion, not dreaming, doing. The dream without the discipline becomes a haunting, a ghost of what could have been. But discipline daily, focused, unglamorous discipline, it's what transforms sparks into infernos. It's what turns wishful thinking into undeniable legacy. So wake up from the seminar coma, get off the inspiration treadmill, unplug from the addiction to more information, and return to the temple of the body in motion, because nothing grows from thinking alone. The seed must hit soil. The hand must strike hammer. The word must become deed. Every hero you admire, they were not made by what they knew. They were forged by what they did with what they knew. Read that again. Let it break something open in you. You don't need a new path. You need new priorities. Most people are not suffering from a lack of opportunity. They're suffering from a lack of urgency. The fire never starts when you feel like it. It starts when you move like your life depends on it, because it does. Your potential is not a trophy. It is a debt you owe to the world, and you pay that debt with your action. Every day, relentlessly, with love, with faith, with force. And don't you dare say it's too late. Don't you dare say you've missed your chance. As long as you're breathing, there is breath in your destiny. As long as you have strength to stand, there is ground for you to take. As long as you have a voice, there is truth for you to speak. And as long as you remember why you began, there is power for you to continue. But you must stop hiding behind learning. You must stop pretending that knowledge is safety. It's not. Knowledge is responsibility. Knowledge demands that you become more, not just know more. The more you know, the more you owe. And if you know what to do and still don't do it, that is not wisdom. That is betrayal of yourself, of your future, of the ones watching you, praying for someone to go first. Because that's the other secret. Someone needs you to move. Your action doesn't just change your life. It shifts others too. There's someone right now, in the shadows of your orbit, watching you, waiting for a sign, looking for proof that it's possible. And your motion could set them free. Your courage could crack the sky open for them. Don't rob them of that. Be the proof. Be the light. Be the walking, breathing evidence that it can be done, not because you read it, not because you watched a documentary about it, not because you posted a quote about it, but because you did it. Action is the highest form of faith. When you act, you're declaring to the world, I believe in this dream. I believe in myself. I believe that even if I fall, I will rise again. And what happens when you keep rising? You become undeniable. You become unshakable. You become someone that no amount of fear, no pile of excuses, no wall of doubt can stop. That's not a fantasy. That's not motivation. That's what happens when your learning becomes action. That's what happens when your knowledge finds a spine. That's what happens when you say, enough knowing, now I build. So build. Build before you're ready. Build before it's perfect. Build like your future depends on it, because it does. One brick at a time, one post, one sale, one step, one hard conversation, one more rep, one more cold call, one more line, written, recorded, shipped, and shown. Stack those bricks, no matter how small, no matter how slow, because the day you stop stacking is the day your legacy dies in blueprint form. But the day you commit, truly commit to action, the world begins to rearrange around your fire. So when the world whispers, wait, you roar back, watch me. When fear says, what if you fail? You answer, then I will fail forward. And when doubt shouts, you're not ready, you move anyway, because courage has never required certainty. This is your awakening. This is the moment where you realize that action is not the enemy of learning. It is its final exam. And every day, life hands you a test, not on paper, not in theory, but in real time. In your decisions, in your habits, in your willingness to go beyond what you understand and step into what you embody. And make no mistake, you are not here to collect information. You are here to change atmospheres, to walk into a room and raise its standard, to start something that didn't exist before you touched it, to plant seeds in barren soil and trust they'll rise, because you were the one who planted them. But you cannot sow if your hands are always full of books. You cannot lead if your feet never move. You cannot win the battle if your sword never leaves its sheath. This is not about rushing blindly into action. This is about aligned, intentional, daily, deliberate execution. The kind of action that's tied to a cause higher than ego and deeper than applause. The kind of action that lives in purpose, breathes in vision, and bleeds in impact. If your learning doesn't lead to purpose, it was just noise. If your knowledge doesn't lead to contribution, it was just ego. If your preparation doesn't lead to transformation, it was just delay. But when your learning meets movement, mountains shift. That's when your voice changes. It deepens, because you're not speaking from theory anymore. You're speaking from trenches, from sweat, from results. And no one can argue with results. They might question your journey. They might mock your methods, but they cannot deny the fruit. So if you want to silence the critics, build. If you want to quiet the doubt, act. If you want to command the room, deliver. This is the era of execution. No one is coming to crown the most educated. They're coming to follow the most effective. And effectiveness belongs to the implementers, to those who rise early, not to scroll, but to create, to those who stay up late, not to fantasize, but to finish, to those who spend their weekends not numbing themselves, but nurturing what matters. You can consume for the next 10 years and still be stuck, or you can produce for 10 months and change your life. Because life responds to output. The universe echoes your effort, not your dreams. It mirrors back your moves, not your mantras. So what are you making? What are you shipping? What are you executing on, even when it's boring, hard, or thankless? That's where your character is built, in the darkroom, in the lab, in the silence, where no one claps and no one sees, and still you do the work. You show up, you push through, you deliver. Because your standard isn't set by applause, it's set by alignment. And when your action aligns with your awareness, you don't just grow, you ascend. You don't just make progress, you lead a revolution. First inside yourself, then outside into everything you touch. And that's what this world needs now more than ever. Not more thinkers, not more critics, not more analysts. It needs builders. It needs warriors of execution. People so committed to translating their learning into action that the world cannot ignore their results. So rise up as one of the few, the rare, the radical, the kind of person who lives by this law. If I learn it, I will live it. If I know it, I will do it. If I see it, I will build it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because now is all you've ever had. Not someday, not one day, now. Now is the only soil where dreams can root. Now is the only clock that ticks in real time. Now is the only place where learning becomes living. And the ones who understand this, not just in mind, but in spirit, are the ones who rise above the noise. You've seen them. The ones who don't speak much, but their results echo louder than any slogan. The ones who don't need to convince you because their consistency proves them. The ones who move quietly, but every step reshapes the terrain around them. Do you think they were smarter, luckier, more connected? No, they just moved. While others hesitated, they executed. While others planned, they planted. While others dreamed, they delivered. They didn't let learning become a spiritual entertainment system. They let it become fuel, purpose, motion. And this is your calling, to become one of them, to stop swimming in knowledge and start sailing with it, to stop observing and start orchestrating. Let your life be a demonstration, not a discussion. Let your discipline speak louder than your declarations. Let your results become your reputation. Because when you commit to action, life begins to treat you differently. The air changes. The people around you shift. You attract the serious, the bold, the focused. Because action is magnetic. Movement pulls movement. Fire finds fire. This is why you must protect your momentum at all costs. It's more valuable than talent, more rare than intelligence, and more powerful than motivation. Don't ask, how do I feel? Ask, what must I do? Because the feelings will lie. The habits will lead. You think success comes from knowing? No. It comes from doing when you don't feel like knowing anymore. It comes from pushing through the fog of fatigue, through the noise of doubt, through the endless buffet of excuses. And let's be honest, the excuses are seductive. I just need more time. I need a better plan. I'll start when I feel ready. I don't want to fail. But let me tell you this, the greatest failure isn't falling, it's staying still. The greatest danger isn't defeat, it's delay. The real death is not death of the body, it's death of motion. So, kill the excuse, kill the delay, kill the need for perfect conditions. Because if you can master the art of acting in imperfect conditions, you will become unstoppable. Life was never supposed to be tidy. Mastery is messy. Excellence is earned through sweat, through trial, through showing up again and again long after the mood has left the building. You are not here to tiptoe through theory. You are here to break ground, to put your fingerprints on this world, to leave behind a trail of action so undeniable, so powerful that it speaks for you long after you're gone. This is not just about success. This is about legacy. Legacy is not built in libraries. It's built in lives touched, in movements sparked, in change created because one person refused to stop at learning and decided to live it. Let that be you. Let your story be a masterclass in momentum. Let your every step say, I refuse to die with this potential inside me. I refuse to be the one who almost did. I refuse to trade a life of purpose for a life of passive consumption. No more reading without risking. No more studying without stepping. No more preparing without producing. It's time. Time to shift from consumer to creator, from student to soldier, from dreamer to doer. Because when you move, really move, you awaken something ancient, something divine, something unstoppable. And you finally understand the point of learning was never just to know. The point was to build a life that shows it. Then lean in, because we are not finished. You see, once action becomes your native language, everything changes. The fog begins to lift. The confusion begins to clear. The universe, once indifferent, starts to whisper, yes, that's it, keep going. And what once felt like resistance begins to feel like fuel. Because discipline is addictive, progress is intoxicating. When you begin to act, your body remembers what it means to be alive. Not alive in theory, not alive in emotion, but alive in momentum, in the sacred rhythm of cause and effect, of idea and impact, of breath and breakthrough. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is not how much they know, but how often they move. The doers don't wait to feel worthy. They don't seek validation. They validate themselves through the doing, through the sweat, through the showing up when no one is watching. They are not obsessed with being seen. They are obsessed with becoming undeniable. This must become your obsession too. Not fame, not likes, not admiration, but excellence. And excellence is only born through one process: repetition. The muscle is built through repetition. The craft is honed through repetition. The results compound through repetition, which means the question is no longer, what do I want? The real question is, what am I willing to repeat no matter how I feel? Because it's not what you occasionally do that transforms you. It's what you relentlessly repeat. One phone call, one rep, one journal entry, one uncomfortable conversation, 1 hour of deep work, one promise kept. Stack those wins. Let your consistency roar louder than your goals. Because in a world addicted to instant gratification, the rarest trait is endurance. Everyone's looking for the shortcut, the hack, the secret key. But here's the truth. The most successful people are not faster. They're just more consistent. They don't sprint, burn out, then disappear. They show up again and again and again. When it's boring, when it's hard, when no one's clapping. They keep doing what they said they'd do long after the mood they said it in has vanished. This is what separates legends from dreamers. The dreamer is high on learning, low on doing, high on starting, low on finishing. They love vision boards, but they fear execution. But the builder, the implementer, the executor, they make motion a non-negotiable. They treat their craft like a calling. They let their actions introduce them. And because of that, the world makes room for them. The world trusts them. The world follows them. And this is the most powerful truth of all. The world doesn't need more knowledge. It needs more leaders. And leadership begins with follow-through. Follow through on your word. Follow through on your goals. Follow through on your calling. Because every time you follow through, you become someone worth following, not just in business, not just in relationships, but in life. So today, yes, today commit to doing the thing you've been postponing. Not reading about it, not researching it, doing it. Take the first step, or the next step, or the hard step. Send the message. Make the call. Hit publish. Hit record. Take the meeting. Pitch the client. Launch the page. Wake up earlier. Turn off the distractions. Say no. Say yes. Say it's time. Because the clock is not waiting, and neither is the life you were born to build. Then let's press forward with fire, with force, with finality. Because this is the hour where talk ends and truth begins. This is the moment where the old self burns, where the doubter inside you takes his last breath, where the dreamer gives way to the doer, and you finally become who you were meant to be. You will not be remembered for what you meant to do. You will be remembered for what you moved to do. You will not be respected for your plans. You will be respected for your proof. So bring proof. Let your life be evidence. Let your routine be the sermon. Let your habits preach louder than your promises ever could. Because here's the secret that the quiet great ones know. Action is identity. Not intention, not inspiration, not education. Action. You are what you repeatedly do. You are what you finish. You are what you fight for when motivation is gone. Every time you move with integrity, with focus, with courage, you don't just change your results. You change your nature. You rewire the very code of who you are. So stop asking, who am I to do this? And start asking, who do I become by doing this? Because the identity you long for, the confident one, the bold one, the fulfilled one, is not waiting at the end of your learning. They are waiting at the end of your action. You don't become brave by thinking brave thoughts. You become brave by doing brave things. You don't become disciplined by reading about habits. You become disciplined by honoring your commitments when it's hard. You don't become wealthy by studying money. You become wealthy by moving money, risking, building, selling, shipping, scaling. You don't become great by studying greatness. You become great by doing what great people do. And great people act. They don't wait for the world to crown them. They crown themselves with consistency. They coronate their own lives with execution. They understand that success is not given, it is compounded. One action, then another, then another. Stacked, repeated, built into a wall of fire that no excuse, no fear, no voice of doubt can penetrate. You've seen the other way. You've tasted the false comfort of waiting. You know what it's like to scroll through inspiration while your goals collect dust. You know what it feels like to be full of potential and empty of results. So don't go back. Burn the ship. Delete the back door. Close the maybe. Kill the what if. And replace it all with one sacred vow. I will let my learning lead to action, or I will let it go. Because the longer you hold knowledge hostage without motion, the more it owns you. The more it turns into guilt, into pressure, into shame. You were not meant to be a warehouse of ideas. You were meant to be a furnace of impact. So light the match. Act like your life depends on it. Because it does. This is your revolution. Not loud, not flashy, but real, relentless, ruthless. This is the moment your future starts to applaud you. Not for what you know, not for what you plan, but for what you finally do. And when it's all said and done, when your body is tired and your legacy is written and your name is etched in the results you created, let them say, that was someone who acted. That was someone who finished. That was someone who refused to let their learning stay silent. They let it speak not in theory, but in motion. Let that be you. There's a voice inside you, and it's been whispering since the day life got hard, since the moment things didn't go your way, since the night you cried behind closed doors and asked, why is this so difficult? And the voice didn't say, it will get easier. It said something stronger. It said, you will get better. But somewhere along the way, that voice got drowned out by the noise. The complaints, the blaming, the excuses dressed up like reasons. If only my job was better. If only I had more time. If only someone helped me. That voice, the one born for growth, built for greatness, got quieter. But it's still there. It's waiting, not for the world to change, not for the odds to shift. It's waiting for you to rise. You've got to stop asking for life to be easier. You've got to stop waiting for the road to smooth out, for the storms to calm, for the struggle to vanish. Because that's not how greatness is made. That's how weakness is fed. Every hero you admire, every legend you quote, every success story you envy, they all faced the same mountain. They all stared down the same storms. The only difference? They stopped wishing for an easier climb. They trained to become stronger climbers. And that, right there, is the shift that rewrites your entire story. You don't need lighter burdens. You need broader shoulders. You don't need more comfort. You need more courage. You don't need fewer problems. You need stronger principles. Because life will not bend to your feelings. It will test them. It will demand proof. It will ask, are you who you say you are? And the only acceptable answer is action. Don't wish for less pain, get stronger through it. Don't wish for no obstacles, become someone who turns them into stepping stones. Don't beg for mercy, build mastery. Because the world doesn't give handouts, it gives feedback. And right now, the struggle you're facing is not there to break you, it's there to build you. But only if you stop running from it. Only if you stop blaming, numbing, hiding, escaping. Only if you decide that growth is not optional, it's the only option. You want success? Then stop making wishes and start making changes. You want a better life? Then become a better version of you. Because your external world will always reflect your internal standard. Raise your standard, your life will follow. Sharpen your mindset, your outcomes will align. Discipline your habits, and everything around you begins to shift. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's not destiny. It's design. And you are the architect. But you can't build a masterpiece with the tools of mediocrity. You can't create a future worth living with the attitude of a victim. You've got to toughen your spirit. You've got to train your mind to see difficulty not as punishment, but as preparation. You've got to teach yourself that pressure is not the enemy, it's the proving ground. You say you want success, then show me how you respond when it's hard. Do you shrink? Do you blame? Do you disappear? Or do you stand up? Do you lean in? Do you double down? Because that is the test. The challenge isn't there to punish you, it's there to reveal you. And once you're revealed, you get to rebuild. You get to rise. You get to become better. Better in focus, better in discipline, better in resilience, better in truth. And no, it won't be easy. But that's the point. Easy never made anyone exceptional. Easy never taught you grit. Easy never gave you backbone. Easy never introduced you to the strongest version of yourself. It's the hard that carves the legend. It's the struggle that forges the strength. It's the rejection that sharpens the resolve. So stop wishing. Stop waiting. Stop bargaining with life like it owes you something. It doesn't. But it offers you everything if you're willing to become the person who can earn it. Because that's the truth about success. Most people won't tell you. It doesn't go to the smartest. It doesn't go to the luckiest. It goes to the one who refuses to stay the same. The one who adapts faster. The one who listens deeper. The one who works while others whine. The one who sharpens their edge when others dull theirs with comfort. That person, that version of you, is not a fantasy. It's a decision. A decision to trade convenience for consistency. To trade pity for power. To trade dreams for discipline. You don't need a new year, a new month, or a new moment to begin. You need a new mindset, and you need it now. So hear this. Every time you say, I can't, you hand your power to the problem. Every time you say, it's too hard, you invite defeat into your identity. Every time you say, it's not fair, you declare yourself helpless. But every time you say, I'll find a way, you become stronger. Every time you say, this will grow me, you become wiser. Every time you say, I will rise, you do. Because words are not just sounds, they're seeds. And what you plant, you grow. So plant courage, plant commitment, plant self-respect. And watch what happens. Watch your clarity increase. Watch your energy rise. Watch your results begin to shift, not because the world got easier, but because you got sharper. And the truth is, the struggle isn't going away. The difference is, soon it won't bother you, because you'll stop seeing it as a problem and start using it as a platform to demonstrate strength, a platform to build confidence, a platform to show the world who you are, and more importantly, to show yourself who you're becoming. You'll walk into every challenge with a new mindset. Not why me, but try me. Not make it easier, but watch me get better. Because that shift from complaint to command, from reaction to response, is where your transformation begins. Not in some future moment where everything aligns, but here, where things are messy, where things are complicated, where the odds aren't in your favor yet. This is the arena, and it's not reserved for the perfect. It's built for the prepared. You've got to stop waiting for confidence and start cultivating competence. Confidence doesn't fall out of the sky. It grows from action. It's built rep by rep, decision by decision, moment by moment when you choose growth over comfort. You don't become a leader because people follow you. You become a leader because you start following through on your word, on your goals, on the promises you've made to yourself. Because the harsh truth is this: most people lie to themselves every single day. They say they're committed until it gets hard. They say they want change, but resist everything that requires it. They say they're chasing greatness, but settle for convenience the moment it costs something. Don't be most people. Be the exception. Be the one who means it. Be the one who doesn't have to shout about their ambition, because their life speaks it in every action, every result, every mile walked in silence when everyone else was looking for applause. There's no glory in hoping the world gets easier. There's only power in knowing you will get better. You'll get better at showing up. You'll get better at staying focused. You'll get better at controlling your emotions, managing your energy, choosing your environment. You'll get better at ignoring distractions and locking in on what matters. You'll get better at saying no to the good, so you can say yes to the great. You'll get better at doing things even when you don't feel like it, especially then, because that's when character is shaped, when the emotion fades and the mission still leads. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you showed up with excellence, not because someone expected it, but because you did? When's the last time you held the line for you? Not for approval, not for applause, but because it was right. That's the separator. That's what defines you. It's not about the results, it's about the refusal to become lazy with your standards. Because when your standards rise, your world changes. Not immediately, not dramatically, but undeniably. Suddenly, people treat you differently. Opportunities start appearing. Doors start opening. Not because of luck, but because of alignment. The world begins to reflect your new level. You become someone that challenge doesn't scare anymore. Someone that excuses can't reach anymore. Someone that failure can't define anymore. And that's when you finally understand life was never meant to be easy. It was meant to elevate you. But only if you were willing to meet it face to face and say, let's go. Because wishing is not strategy. Hope is not a habit. Improvement is not a coincidence. Better is built. Built in discomfort. Built in struggle. Built in the decision to rise while others retreat. And every time you do, every single time you step closer to the version of you that doesn't wish they work. The one who doesn't complain, they compete. The one who doesn't beg, they build. And that version is the real you, the one behind the hesitation, the one buried beneath old stories and tired excuses, the one who's been waiting not for permission but for decision, the decision to evolve, to take full ownership, to stop negotiating with weakness, to stop worshiping comfort like it's a god, and to embrace the truth that everything you want, everything you're capable of, everything you were meant for, lives on the other side of becoming better. Not bitter, not broken, not why me, better. So ask yourself, what have you been avoiding because it's hard? What have you been delaying because it's uncomfortable? What gift have you buried because you're afraid you're not ready? You don't need ready. You need real. You need raw effort. You need unshakable resolve. You need to remember that the pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. So stop playing small. Stop playing weak and start playing for real, because this is your life, and it will not wait for you to get brave, but it will reward you the moment you do. So don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Then get to work and become it, because this is the turning point, the invisible moment where most turn back, but you go forward. This is where the climb gets steeper, where the voices of doubt get louder, where the pain sharpens, where the reward hides just beyond your breaking point. And this is where most people stop, not because they can't go on, but because they chose not to. But not you. You've made a new vow to stop negotiating with fear, to stop entertaining the voice that says ease is the goal, to stop believing that you're supposed to feel ready before you begin. You are ready, not because it's easy, but because you've decided. You've decided that excellence is your identity now, not a phase, not a project, not a mood. And excellence is not accidental, it is chosen, it is trained, it is lived. It shows up in your discipline when you say yes to the things that build you and no to the things that break you. It shows up in your belief when the world questions your worth, but you walk with certainty because you've already settled that question internally. It shows up in your clarity when distractions knock, but your vision is louder. It shows up in your purpose when you move with meaning, not motion. And it shows up in your actions when you stop waiting for motivation and start manufacturing momentum. That's when life shifts. Not because the challenge disappears, but because you've become the kind of person who runs toward it. Because better doesn't avoid resistance, better invites it. It understands. The struggle is the stimulus. The resistance is the gym for your spirit. The pressure is the price of growth, and you're willing to pay it. You stop playing to survive. You start playing to dominate. You stop thinking, how long will this take? And start thinking, how far can I go? You start waking up not just with goals, but with grit. And every step forward, even the small ones, become statements. I refuse to be ordinary. I refuse to let my potential expire in excuses. I refuse to hand my destiny to convenience. Because there is no convenience in becoming powerful. There is only commitment. There is only the day-by-day, brick-by-brick, habit-by-habit construction of a life so solid that even if the world collapses, you won't. Why? Because you were never built on ease. You were built on better. Every time you lifted yourself out of bed when your mind told you to rest. Every time you spoke truth when silence was safer. Every time you stood tall when insecurity tried to shrink you. That wasn't just effort. That was identity. The identity of someone who doesn't bow to difficulty, they become greater through it. You want to build wealth? Then build wisdom first. You want influence? Then master integrity. You want success? Then show me what you do when no one is watching, because that's the real you. And the real you doesn't need easier conditions. They need unshakable character. The kind forged in the fire. Refined through resistance. Strengthened by sweat, sharpened by silence, tested by trial, and proven by perseverance. So don't wish the pressure would leave. Learn to breathe inside it. Don't wish the weight would vanish. Grow strong enough to carry it with purpose. Because on the other side of pressure is purpose. On the other side of resistance is revelation. On the other side of struggle is the strongest, clearest, most unbreakable version of you. And that version of you is no longer waiting. They're already waking up earlier. They're already reading while others scroll. They're already working while others whine. They're already sharpening their craft while others dull their edge with distraction. Because better isn't a feeling. It's a fire. And once it's lit, you feed it daily. With intention. With standards. With sacrifice. With a refusal to let your potential be caged by comfort. Because comfort doesn't create champions, discipline does. And discipline is not punishment. It's power. It's saying, yes, I'm tired, but I go anyway. Yes, it's tough, but I show up anyway. Yes, the world is heavy, but I refuse to carry it like a victim. because you are not made for average. You were made for impact. You were made for the days when it's hard and you rise anyway. For the moments when it hurts and you push anyway. For the chapters that look impossible, but you write them anyway. So hear me when I say this. The life you want is possible, but it won't arrive because you wished. It will arrive because you worked. It will arrive because you refused to quit. It will arrive because you became better long before the world said you were. And when it does, when the results start showing up, when the growth starts compounding, when the people who doubted you start asking how you did it, you won't say, it got easier. You'll say, I got better. And when you say it, I got better, you'll say it with a quiet power. Not arrogance, not noise, but the grounded strength of someone who earned their transformation. Because deep down, you'll know the truth. You didn't get lucky. You didn't stumble into success. You built it with sweat, with sacrifice, with sleepless nights, and silent battles no one else ever saw. You'll know what it cost, and you'll never trade it back. Because once you become better, truly better, the old life, the old mindset, the old excuses, they feel foreign. They feel fake. They feel small. You'll look back, not with regret, but with gratitude. Because every hard thing you faced became a hammer, and every hammer stroke shaped you into a force, into a standard, into someone no longer driven by motivation, but by mission. Because that's what better really means. It doesn't mean richer, or more famous, or more followed. It means more solid, more rooted in truth, more grounded in principles, more aligned with purpose, more in love with the process than obsessed with the outcome. Better means you've stopped chasing validation because you've found your value in your own work. Better means you stopped asking life to give you more and started giving more to life. Your attention, your energy, your patience, your excellence. Because now you understand life doesn't owe you anything, but it offers you everything if you become someone who deserves it. So stop trying to be impressive. Start becoming irreplaceable. The most irreplaceable people in this world are not the flashiest. They're the most dependable. They show up. They execute. They finish. They rise. They rise when it's raining. They rise when it's heavy. They rise when it's unfair. They rise when others are stuck wishing and they're working because they get it. They don't pray for lighter loads. They train for stronger legs. They don't hope for easy outcomes. They build unshakable outcomes through consistent input. They don't chase. They create. And so will you. From now on, this is your identity. The one who doesn't need the world to change because you're changing yourself. The one who doesn't need the road to be clear because you'll build a path through chaos. The one who no longer runs from difficulty because you understand that pressure doesn't block your progress. It proves it. So when life gets hard or good, that means the test is real. That means the growth is close. That means the breakthrough is near. Let others collapse. You stand. Let others shrink. You expand. Let others retreat. You advance. Because the one who advances day by day, inch by inch, habit by habit, becomes unbeatable. And hear me. You are not here to cope. You are here to conquer. You are not here to make it through. You are here to rise above. You are not here to fit in. You are here to reshape the room you walk into. But only if you stop running from the fire and become the one who walks through it, forged and focused. So, build yourself daily. Read when it's easier to scroll. Think when it's easier to follow. Move when it's easier to stall. Speak truth when silence is comfortable. Hold the line when the world wants you to bend. Because that's what better does. Better isn't loud, but it echoes. Better doesn't scream, but it lasts. Better isn't desperate because it's disciplined. And here's the beautiful part. Anyone can choose it. Anyone can wake up today and say, this is the day I stop wishing and I start working. This is the day I stop hoping the world makes room for me and I carve out my own place in it. This is the day I stop asking if I'm enough and I become more than enough because I choose better over easy. And when you do, your habits change. Your posture changes. Your circle changes. Your outcomes begin to catch up to your new identity. Because everything around you is a reflection of what's inside you. And when you rise, everything else does too. So don't wait another day. Don't postpone your greatness for when it's convenient. Don't bargain with your potential like it's optional. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Then do what the better version of you would do right now, not tomorrow. Now, because this is the moment it all crystallizes. This is the moment where the line gets drawn between the old you and the unshakable you. The moment where something inside says, no more. No more halfway effort. No more waiting for motivation. No more pretending you don't have what it takes. Because you do. You always have. You just haven't demanded it from yourself consistently. But that ends now. Right here in this breath, in this moment, in this decision, the fire is lit. Not the kind that burns out in a week, but the kind that never dies. The kind that wakes you up before the alarm. That pushes you through the extra rep. That keeps you in the room when everyone else walks out. That reminds you, you are not average. You are just underestimating yourself. But you see it now. You see that wishing doesn't change your life. Working does. That wanting doesn't build your future. Willing does. That complaining doesn't make you strong. Commitment does. And that's the new oath you take. To live by will, not want. To lead by example, not ego. To rise through principle, not popularity. Because the world is full of noise, but your discipline will cut through it. The world is full of shortcuts, but your standard will expose them. The world is full of dreamers, but your daily actions will separate you. That's your edge. That's your legacy. That's your becoming. Because the goal isn't just to be inspired. It's to be transformed. To live in such a way that your effort becomes inevitable success. That your presence becomes its own form of influence. That your work speaks louder than your words ever could. Because now, you know. No one's coming to make this easier. There is no magic. There is only mastery. And mastery is earned in the moments when no one claps. In the days that test your heart. In the weeks you want to quit. In the years where most would have settled. But not you. You're not hoping anymore. You're becoming. You're not waiting anymore. You're working. You're not asking life to go easy on you. You're asking, what's next? Because better is now your identity. Better is how you rise. Better is how you respond. Better is how you lead. Better is how you live. So let them doubt you. Let the path get harder. Let the pressure increase. Let life challenge you. You've already decided. You don't wish it were easier. You wish you were better. And now you are. The moment your eyes open in the morning, you are at war. Not with the world, not with your schedule, but with something far more dangerous, comfort. That sweet voice that says, just a few more minutes. Start tomorrow. Play it safe. And if you're not ready, if you don't rise with intention, that voice wins. And your dream dies a little more before breakfast. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Your morning isn't a time slot. It's a message. A message you send to the universe that says, I'm serious. Or a message that says, I'm still sleeping through my potential. The successful, the relentless, the unstoppable, the legendary, they don't start their day like everyone else. They build it. They don't wake up into chaos. They create clarity because they know one thing the average forgets. Mornings are sacred, and the way you rise will determine how far you go. Habit 1, they master the first thought. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phone, injecting distraction, comparison, and noise straight into their bloodstream. But not the successful. The successful protect the first thought of the day like it's oxygen, because it is. Your first thought is the rudder of your mind. It decides if you drift or drive, if you spiral or soar. So they wake up and take command, not by accident, but by design. Before the world invades their consciousness, they set the tone with gratitude, with purpose, with fire. Not, I have to, but I get to. Not another day, but another opportunity. Not, let's see what happens, but let's make it happen. And from that one shift, they don't walk into the day, they launch. Habit 2, they dominate the physical. Before emails, before meetings, before decisions, they move. Because the body is not just a vessel, it's a trigger. Motion is the fastest way to summon motivation, to move from sleep to certainty, to transition from dreams to domination. This isn't about having a six-pack. This is about discipline. This is about sweat as a spiritual act. This is about looking the morning in the face and saying, I choose power today. When you push your body, you push your limits. You remind yourself that resistance is not your enemy. It's your training partner. You start your day in victory, and that victory compounds because a body in motion leads a life in momentum. Habit 3, they spend time in silence before they step into noise. The world is loud. Your phone is loud. The news, the timelines, the expectations, all of it screams for your attention. But the successful, they start with stillness because clarity doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you don't make space for it, you'll miss it. They sit with themselves not to escape, but to listen, to recalibrate, to remember who they are. Prayer, meditation, reflection, breath. Not because it's trendy, but because their inner world must be stronger than the outer one. If you don't control the first voice you hear, the world will decide what you believe. But when you set the frequency, the rest of the day has no choice but to rise to it. Habit 4, they review their vision daily. Successful people don't write their goals once. They read them every morning like scripture. They don't drift through the day hoping to find focus. They anchor their soul in purpose. While the average scrolls aimlessly, they stare into their future. They remind themselves what they're building. They burn the image into their nervous system until it's more real than the room they're standing in. That vision becomes command, and from it comes decisions, direction, and drive. You want to stay on fire? Then stop trying to remember your goals. Reignite them every single morning. Habit 5, they take immediate ownership through action. The successful don't wait to feel ready. They don't ease into the day like it's a warm bath. They attack it. They do something hard first. They do something meaningful now because they understand the longer you wait, the weaker you become. While the world is still yawning, they're already creating. They're already writing. They're already building the momentum that average people spend all day chasing. And it's not because they're superhuman. It's because they don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, is it aligned with who I said I would become? They don't negotiate with laziness. They eliminate it because every excuse is an enemy of their empire. They know discipline before the world wakes up becomes domination after the world starts moving. And so they move, not with speed, but with certainty, not with hustle, but with honor, not with pressure, but with purpose. Because when you move in purpose, even the smallest act becomes sacred. The workout becomes a war cry. The cold shower becomes a declaration. The journal becomes a blueprint. The schedule becomes proof that you are no longer living by default. Now listen closely, because this is the moment you decide what kind of life you're going to build from this day forward. You don't need more time. You don't need better conditions. You don't need the perfect morning routine. You need to become the person who wakes up with fire in their lungs and refuses to waste it. You need to become the kind of soul who gets out of bed with the same intensity most people only find when they're desperate. Because you're not desperate. You're devoted. Devoted to your future. Devoted to your purpose. Devoted to rising while others sleep. To pushing while others pause. To becoming while others wish. The morning is your proving ground, the testing ground, the launching pad. And the moment you stop waking up into chaos and start waking up with command, you stop living reactively and start leading a life that cannot be ignored. You want success? Then win the first battle of the day, and the rest will obey. Let the world sleep. Let the weak wait. But you rise. You build. You own the morning. And in doing so,